This is the Giants Postcast, your instant game reaction for the San Francisco Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Giants Postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E. Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR, or maybe from some of these other Locked On Postcasts we do. But today, the Giants continue to watch their playoff hopes slip away as the Diamondbacks walk them off today at Chase Field, snake-bitten in Arizona. Defensive blunders plagued the San Francisco Giants in this game. Ultimately, that was what came back to haunt them and ultimately led to their downfall. Two key defensive plays in the bottom of the ninth inning allowed that winning run to score. And let's be real, they were putting pressure on themselves due to bad defense for the prior 3 innings before they even got to the ninth. And with the loss, the Giants are now 3 games back from that third and final National League wildcard spot with not very many games left to play. We'll break it all down. But first, I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Giants YouTube channel. Please, if you aren't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button right now. Thanks also for listening on the Locked On Giants podcast feed. However you're tuning in, we appreciate it. And make sure to check out the Locked On Giants Daily Show for more in-depth coverage. Alan Stiles does a great job. And in this one, just a very frustrating way to lose. I just caught the very end of Bob Melvin's postgame, and that's the word that he kept using, frustrating. And he was delivering the word frustrating in a frustrated tone, and that's very much so the word of the season for the Giants. It's just been a very frustrating season of underachievement and bad mistakes that just shouldn't happen, man. Like, should not be happening with a professional baseball team, especially one that is supposedly focused on pitching and defense. And this team just can't play good defense right now. And they did finish this one with 2 errors, but there was more than just that. There were some plays that could have been made that were not ruled as errors that ultimately did come back to haunt the Giants, specifically in the 9th inning. So let's get into it. Today's turning point.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
And the turning point in this one came in that 9th inning, the bottom of the 9th inning, when the Giants failed defensively in a couple different spots. First, you have the bad play at first base by Casey Schmidt. So Corbin Carroll somehow gets on base with the single that just goes back up the middle, and he just roped that 107.4 miles an hour. And then you have Moreno that walks to put runners at first and second with nobody out in the bottom of the 9th. And you have a very you've had so many hits by the Diamondbacks right back up the middle in this one, and by specifically Corbin Carroll, and it felt like Marte was doing the same thing all night, just peppering that ball back up the middle. And that extra speed that those guys have, they were stretching all these plays into singles into doubles. They're stretching blunders and the little slight bobbles in the outfield or throws that miss the cutoff into an extra base. And in this situation, you have an error that compounds the problem for the Giants, because with runners on first and second, you get Blaze Alexander laying down a sack bunt. And this was like the 4th sacrifice, I think, that the Diamondbacks had made to this point in the game. We'll talk about that and just how that played into this one a little bit later. But you have the ball gets thrown to first base by Ryan Walker, and Casey Schmidt does not keep his foot on the bag when he goes to make the catch. It came off just a little bit to try and get a better angle on the ball and position his body a little bit better. And these are the kind of nuanced things that you kind of got to learn as an everyday second baseman. This is not a play that you have every day, so it's not something that Casey Schmidt is doing all the time, but it's something that in big moments you're going to need to be able to handle these types of plays. And today Schmidt wasn't able to handle it over there at first base. He receives the error on the catch error with the rare catch error that you see over there at first base. Casey Schmidt allowing that third runner to get on base. And it also sets up a situation where you have the bases loaded and nobody out instead of just 1 out, which I think could have changed the calculus for this a little bit. But then you have Lawler come up. Jordan Lawler hits a little tapper that just barely gets by Ryan Walker. And Ryan Walker, you saw him throw the glove afterwards. He absolutely should have made that play. I mean, maybe that's a little strongly worded, but I think that he absolutely could have had put himself in a better position to attempt to make that play. kind of whiffed on the ball coming off the mound. Would have been a tough throw home. You would have had to spin and fire based on his body positioning. But I think that he would have, been able to at least have a shot at it if he had a better shot if he had, got a glove on the ball first rather than just whiffing on the play. And if you just see his body language, it's a play he thinks he should have made. Bob Melvin in the postgame kind of indicated that he thought that Ryan Walker should have made a better effort on that player, or could have executed that better. And it's just a very frustrating way to lose. And the Giants, it felt like they had errors on just all throughout this game, man. I mean, even though it wasn't recorded necessarily as errors in the stat book, it just defensive blunders, like little things that they could have tightened up on to stop the Diamondbacks from taking extra bases, 50-50 balls that just didn't go their way. It's just a very, very, very frustrating way to lose a baseball game. And when you're playing a team like the Diamondbacks, that's kind of what happens. That's their formula for beating you. They're going to keep the pressure on. They're going to attack you with speed. They're going to try and stretch those singles into doubles. They're going to move runners into scoring position with sacrifices, and they're going to try to keep that ball in play and put pressure on you with the speed on the base paths. And that's exactly what the Giants experienced tonight. I mean, the last 3-4 innings, it felt like they were just constantly under pressure. I mean, you have in the top of the eighth, for instance, or the bottom of the eighth, for instance, Alek Thomas had a similar ball to that one that they couldn't get it at first base off the bunt. It was like a swinging bunt, but Alek Thomas hits one and it dribbles right out in front of the plate. It's clearly Kinsner's ball, and for whatever reason, Buto decides to field it and spin and throw to first with a terrible body position and fires it into the outfield. And then Alek Thomas gets on second base with nobody out. Thankfully, the Giants were able to kind of get out of that and avoid any further catastrophe in that inning, thanks in part to a pretty good play by Casey Schmidt at second base, ranging into the hole between first and second base and making a nice play to get Ketel Marte for the final out of that inning. But I mean, the Giants just unnecessarily putting pressure on themselves in that inning by allowing the leadoff runner to get to second base on an error, by hitting Perdomo with a pitch. I mean, it's just constant self-induced wounds. It's self-inflicted damage that the Giants do all the time that put them behind the eight ball. And we've seen this a lot this season. And we've seen the Giants continuously fail in these big moments, especially against division opponents. And with the loss to the Diamondbacks today, I mean, the Giants have just been so bad in divisional games, but just specifically, if you take out the Rockies, if you just look at the games against the Diamondbacks, the Padres, and the Dodgers, the Giants have lost 23 of 34 divisional games. That's so bad. They're 11-23 against those three opponents, against the Diamondbacks, the Padres, and the Dodgers. If you can't win against the decent teams in your division, if the only team you can beat in your division is the Colorado Rockies, who are just one of the worst baseball teams I've ever seen in my life, you don't deserve to go to the playoffs. And that's just kind of where the Giants are at right now. I mean, they if you can't play shore defense in the second half of September, if you are making these types of defensive blunders when the chips are all down, I mean, it's all pushed into the middle of the table. And if you're booting the ball around like this, when that's the case, you don't deserve to make the playoffs. You don't deserve a spot in the postseason. And don't look now, but the Mets are starting to get some vibes out there at Citi Field. And with the loss today, the Giants are now even behind the Cincinnati Reds. So now, in order to get to that third wild card spot, you got to climb over the Reds, the Diamondbacks, and the New York Mets. And I just don't think that's going to happen at this point. They're not completely dead. They're not. I mean, they could still make it crazier. Things have happened. But I mean, they are hanging on by just an absolute thread right now. And I foresee this season continuing to kind of spiral for the Giants. The starting pitching has not been good. Today, you had a bullpen game that kind of held on for a little while, and then it just eventually, became too much for the Giants. I mean, this bullpen looks really tired. They've eaten a ton of innings. It's been a journey for this bullpen lately. I mean, it seems like Lucchesi has pitched a ton of innings. Buto has pitched a ton of innings since coming here from New York. So this bullpen isn't going to get much of a break either. The Giants only have one more off day between now and the end of the season. And the starting pitching, it hasn't been going deep, right? Like Logan Webb, Robbie Ray didn't make it past 5 innings each in their last 2 starts. So we'll see how the Giants continue to play this one out. But ultimately for today, not enough to beat the Diamondbacks. They lose 6-5 out there at Chase Field in Arizona. We got to take a quick break, but on the other side, we'll get into what you'll be talking about after this one. And we got to get you a player of the game. We got to get into some of the Giants pitching woes from today as well, and their inability to capitalize on getting to Rodriguez early on and how that really impacted the game. We'll get to all that next on the Locked On Giants postcast. Today's show is sponsored by Nutrafol. You've probably seen a million ads for hair growth products and thought, sure, like that actually works. There are so many products out there, and it's hard to know which ones are actually going to do anything. That's why you should give Nutrafol a closer look. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. And it's not just hype, it's a supplement clinically tested that targets root causes of thinning and shedding with a proactive approach. And as a mid-30s, early 30s-year-old man with some thinning going on up top, I'm all for anything that's going to help stop the thinning, the receding hairline, help me not, need to wear a hat every day. So get on board with Nutrafol, see thicker, stronger hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering Locked On MLB listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code LOCKEDONMLB. And today's show is sponsored by Gametime. There's nothing like catching a baseball game live. The energy, the crowd, the chance to see your team in person, the chance to see your Giants out at Oracle Park during Fan Appreciation Weekend coming up right around the corner. But actually getting tickets, that's the tough part. Queues, login screens, surprise fees. It takes all the fun out of the experience, and that's why I use Gametime, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. Gametime is fast, easy, and backed by the Gametime guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. And I love that you can access their zone deals. I love utilizing the zone deals on Gametime. You just pick a zone, and Gametime will pick the seats. You save big time, and they always get you the best deal. And honestly, it's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way I bought tickets. I utilize Gametime not just for sporting events, but for concerts as well. So make sure you go to Gametime right now, download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Gametime today. And today's show is also sponsored by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. And I love that FanDuel, you can get into it right from the comfort of your own home. Super, super easy. Whatever you want, parlays, same game parlays, like you can join live right in the middle of the action and get in on some of that action. Spreads, money lines, whatever you want, player props, it's all right there on FanDuel. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app right now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and today the Giants, a very frustrating loss. I see the chat echoing what we said at the beginning of the show, echoing what Bob Melvin said in his press conference. Just a very, very frustrating day for the San Francisco Giants, and ultimately, it's just something that you wish that they could get right. The defense has been a bummer all year long, and it just has not been a smooth ride on that side of the coin for the Giants. And today you had more defensive blunders. You had the bullpen just absolutely gassed, trying to limp along. And I mean, these are a lot of guys who have thrown a lot of pitches in these last couple days. Every single Giants pitcher in the bullpen coming into today had thrown at least 2 games out of the last 4. So none of these guys are truly fresh, except for Bivens and Brubaker. Everyone else pitching a whole heck of a lot for the Giants, and Tristan Beck did a decent job, kind of eating a few innings in the beginning. He did give up 3 runs there in that second inning, but the Giants still had the lead when he left the game in this one, and the rest of the bullpen just was not able to hang on. The Diamondbacks in that 5th inning added a couple more. And as I said, they just continued to keep that pressure on the Giants all game long, man. Just death by 1,000 paper cuts. The Diamondbacks I wish the Giants could have a little bit of what they got, right? Like, you got so many guys batting over 260 in this lineup, batting over 250 in this lineup. And the Giants, I mean, it's like you got to struggle to find. I think they got two guys in today's game who came to the plate who are batting currently over 250 on the season, and that's Ramos and Devers. Everybody else well below that. So you got a half dozen of them or more on the Diamondbacks, and you got speed all around, and it's just a hard, tough brand of baseball to stop. And it's kind of a different look than what everyone else in the division is kind of throwing out there right now. The big spending, the big power bats in the middle of the order, and the Diamondbacks are just saying we're going all in on youth and speed and athleticism and defense, and that's exactly the recipe that they used to beat the Giants today. But nonetheless, even though the Giants lost 6-5, we still got to give you a player of the game before we get on out of here.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
And we're going to give it to Wilmer Flores because he is basically the only Giant who did anything in the last half of this game. Felt like after that third inning, the Giants just kind of put the offense on cruise control. Or after that first inning, they put the offense on cruise control even until Wilmer's home run. And then after Wilmer's home run, felt like there was absolutely nothing from this team after that. It was just lifeless offense. So Wilmer Flores gave the Giants at the time what was an insurance run on a 1-run lead. It was not enough. The Giants needed more than that, and they were not able to get it. The last 6 innings of this game were just a slog offensively, and that's ultimately what really killed the Giants in this one. And I think that's what you're going to be talking about after this one as well.
This is what you'll be talking about.
And you could argue that this was today's turning point as well. Early on in this one, like the Giants had Eduardo Rodriguez on the ropes early. And this is a guy who last time that the Giants played the Diamondbacks, he was very, very good. He completely shut the Giants down. But prior to that, the one start before earlier this season, his very first start against the Giants this season, he got absolutely rocked. The Giants shelled him. And this was another opportunity for the Giants to kind of get back to that, right? Like they score 4 runs in that first inning. They get off to a great start with 2 absolute missiles off the bat of Elliot Ramos and Rafi Devers, both hit over 111 miles an hour. And you get some runs in that inning, right? Like, but it just, I wanted just a little bit more, right? Like the 4 runs in the first was great. And then you come back out in the second and you just kind of, you get that leadoff single and then you get back-to-back strikeouts and then a line out to just really quickly get out of that inning and kind of give Rodriguez just a little bit more confidence. Then Wilmer hits that home run in the third and you're thinking, all right, maybe they'll get something going again here. And then the inning ends pretty quickly after that. And then from that point on, you go 1-2-3 in the fourth. You go 1-2-3 in the fifth, even after leadoff walk, because Matt Chapman grounds into a double play. And it just, 1-2-3 in the sixth. It just does not get any better. 1-2-3 in the seventh. I mean, 1-2-3 in the eighth and 1-2-3 in the ninth. I mean, the Giants after that, they just completely missed any opportunity to do any more damage and deliver that knockout blow to Rodriguez and get into this Diamondbacks bullpen that's been pretty subpar all year long. And that was the recipe for success in this game. Giants couldn't do it. Giants couldn't get that, just deliver that final knockout blow to Rodriguez and allowed him to just kind of linger around long enough. He ended up eating about 5 innings so that bullpen didn't have to go too long. But I mean, they still ultimately the Diamondbacks bullpen just blanked the Giants. I mean, did not give up any base runners. So just a frustrating way to lose a game. Very, very, very frustrating situation overall. And as I said, the Giants now 3 games back in this wild card race. It's the hope slipping away day by day. And as I said earlier, the real bummer here for the Giants this season is all of the opportunity left on the table against division opponents. They've lost 23 of 34 divisional games versus the Diamondbacks, the Padres, and the Dodgers. So you remove the Rockies from the equation. The Giants have been absolutely dog water against all of the rest of the division. So very, very, very bad situation for the Giants to be in. I checked FanGraphs during the game before the loss went final. And the Giants had like a 3 to 4% chance to make the playoffs. It's obviously lower than that now. And But at this point, if you're me and if you're a degenerate like me, you're probably watching to see if the Giants get over that 80.5 win total that was posted for them at the beginning of the season. Just give me 6 more wins, baby. Just give me 6 more wins and give me some competitive baseball down the stretch in September. I don't want to see this team roll over and die. I want to see them play some meaningful games down the stretch and keep battling. Keep battling. I don't think they need to make the playoffs for it to be considered a successful season. I think that just playing meaningful games in September and having all this youth get the experience of like a playoff push, I think that's all going to be beneficial to this team going forward. So hopefully the Giants can put some good things together and start to get some of that momentum back that they had at the beginning of the season or beginning of the month that just feels completely gone at this point. It's all the time that we got for you guys today here on the Locked On Giants Postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E. Engel. We'll see you next time. Peace.